What's up, y'all? It's J Moore. I wanted to just get with you guys real quick. I haven't made a video in a little bit. And I had a conversation with a guy today, trying to help him out with his situation a little bit. And there was a couple of things I had thought about that maybe can help his cause a little more, and help everybody really. But if he gets a chance to watch this video, it might be able to just add a little strength to what he's gonna try to do tomorrow. I'm not 100% sure if he will actually go with what I suggested. He has a real short amount of time to. He's got a hearing tomorrow, but I suggested some things for him, and if he decides to use that, what I'm about to show you guys will be helpful as well. I'm gonna try to make this one quick. My head is banging. I don't know why. I got a headache out of nowhere all of a sudden. But I wanted to get this out for the guy. Sound like a good guy. I'm sure most of us are out there anyways. But I don't know. He kind of share with me a story which is pretty much the same for everybody. But it just every time I hear it, it's kind of sickening. The same old story. A girl does what she wants, usually basically steals your seed, which to me is basically, that's rape. When a child is brought into this world and it's not either something you both discussed or was a complete accident on both parts. When it's not done by that way, which the only other way is, well, a man could forcefully, I guess, shoot a seed into a woman, but, if she really, really didn't want that, she can always get an abortion, whatever, right? But it's the women who somehow deceptively or even forcefully at times steals a man's seed. And then now she can do what she wants. She can have that baby and she can go down and put you on child support if you don't know your rights, right, guys? Everybody who's listening to this understands that that's not okay. It's not what Title 4D is actually intended for, and it's unconstitutional. And that's what we're here to address. But that whole scenario where a woman could basically steal a man's seed through what I call rape, and then turn around and start cashing in on, it's just, I love my women, but that shit is disgusting. And a lot of you do it. You will never admit it, but come on, us men ain't fools. We know the game. And I just hate to see our beautiful women degrading themselves to the point where they just push something out their body and then tax you for it, and really don't even, half of them don't even care what kind of you know you know situation that child they produce is coming up in. If it's turmoil because now there's a conflict between that mother and father, if the father is so infuriated, which I understand, because he's now been stripped of all his means to take care of himself, to live a fruitful life, just because it's he either consensually or non-consensually had this child, and now that they're not getting along, and she can go and put him on these papers, and now he doesn't want nothing to do with the child. It's a big mess, and it's somehow these women just don't seem to be ever thinking about any of that stuff. Best interest of the child, right? Well, I guarantee for the most part it's not working out like that, or they would have been a lot better off if you two would have just worked out some sort of financial arrangement to take care of the child and leave it at that. You guys we don't have to have no relationship beyond that. And I think that's what eats a lot of them up, and that's why they're out here doing this. Or some of them are just greedy, and that was the sole person having that baby. So anyways, let me hurry up and get into this, so I can try to keep this short. I played that song Chain of Fools. Chain of Fools. My question to y'all is, are you a fool? Are you gonna let these fraudulent legislators and fraudulent judicial officers trick you, make you a fool, even though you see these words right in front of you that are the law and they say different? Are you gonna let these cats write some fraudulent inducing wording that tricks you back into thinking, oh, okay, well, they're right. I guess child support is okay. Well, I'm gonna show you how they try to make fools out of us. My computer's running a little slow, guys. Bear with me. First thing I want to do, so this person I talked to said he had a hearing Friday, and I told him, man, hey, look, you don't have a lot of time to do anything. What I would suggest, just get them to sweat a little bit. Bring in some solid paperwork that's going to make them think twice. And I suggested this Holmberg versus Holmberg. You guys are probably familiar with it. I've showed it to you before. Holmberg versus Holmberg. It's right here. And that's the Supreme Court case out of Minnesota, which basically says child support's unconstitutional. How so? Through separation of powers. And what I was just gonna show you was the end here, what they wrote. That's kind of funny to me. And then I'm gonna show you the next part that's gonna kind of tie into the whole fool aspect. Are you a fool? You gonna let these cats fool you? So anyways, before I do that, if you want to look up this case law, it's not super hard to find, but they kind of hit it a little bit. So this one right here, guys, this top one, this is the case, Holmberg versus Holmberg, and then this right here is the next thing I'm going to show you. So if you want to pause it, check that out. If you type it in or whatever. Like I said, this is the case, and then this is something else I'm going to show you. This is long here, so I'm going to scroll over. You can pause it again, get the rest of it, and I'll give you a few seconds. Alright, so you could have, like I said, pause it, get that all down, and those are two links you can type in if you're interested. So right here we go. I know this is kind of cut off. Can I get it over a little bit? Yep, okay. Oh, I guess you can't. I thought, okay. So guys, I'm gonna have to kind of just read it. Yeah, and you guys can come back, but it's gonna be cut off a little bit on the edges. You guys can read it for yourself. But I'm gonna be right here. I'm starting right here. It says, now they've already gone through and made their decision. Child support's unconstitutional, separation of powers, blah blah blah. Then they come down to the end here and they say, in nullifying the administrative child support process, we must turn to the consequences of our ruling. Why they need to do that, I don't know. Their job is just to say it's unconstitutional or not, but for some reason they're concerned about the consequences of a ruling. Wouldn't the consequences be restoring somebody's rights? But no. What do you think they're worried about here, guys? That Title IV defunding and all that money they're raking in off our asses. I think that's probably what they're worried about. It goes on to say, prospective application of a ruling is justified in very limited circumstances. In determining whether to give our ruling prospective application, we consider whether the decision establishes a new principle of law, whether retroactive application will further or retard the operation of the holding in question, and whether retroactive application could produce substantial inequitable results in individual cases. Giving our ruling retroactive effect will not protect the principle of separation of powers any more than the prospective ruling. Further, retroactive application will not only swamp the district courts with litigants previously forced to participate in the administrative process, but would also give a negative emotional impact on families, or women, whose custodial parents. I know it's not all women's. Emotional impact on families whose final orders are undone. Such a result would be very disruptive without advancing the separations of powers principle. Therefore, our ruling should be prospective except as to the parties before us who shall have their cases decided in accordance with this opinion. We also stay our decision until July 1st, 1999, under authority of Northern Pipeline. The United States Supreme Court ruled bankruptcy courts unconstitutional under a separation of powers analysis, but stayed its decision for over 3 months to afford Congress an opportunity to reconstitute the bankruptcy courts or to adopt other valid means of adjudication without impairing the interim administration of the bankruptcy laws. In light of the substantial hardship immediate judgment would wreak, we stay our judgment, giving the legislator time to amend the laws in accordance with this decision. So, full test number 1. And don't get it twisted, guys. I'm still a fool in some respects as it comes to the law, and I was definitely a fool if I would have read this, some time ago. These guys are very clever at turning you into a fool and making it, your trusting nature and ignorance gets you to believe that these people are fixing a problem, doing the right thing, or whatever. Full test number 1. It says, in nullifying the administrative child support process, we must turn to the consequences of our ruling. So again, administrative child support process. Well, if it was once administrative, then how could it ever change? So, I mean, really, at first glance, you should know, like, what are these guys even trying to get at? You can't change administrative unless somehow Congress goes ahead and decides to try to place this under the judicial operations or the judicial branch, which they can't do because they know messing around with people's families and children stuff is unconstitutional anyways. So they're not going to do that. They're going to leave it in the administrative branch, where these things are supposed to be contracted and services are supposed to be offered through, not the judicial, where adjudications happen on your rights and you don't have a choice in the matter. Also, what else did it say here? They're letting you know, like, they'll say, further retroactive application will not only swamp the district courts, well, who cares about that? See, they're throwing all these, we want to make sure the courts don't have too much work to do. What a bitch-ass court shouldn't have been messing around in the first place. And whatever y'all need to do to take care of this swiftly is what y'all need to do. That's what y'all get. Talking about, it's going to swamp the courts. Man, get out of here with that crap. Also, when it comes down here, in light of the substantial hardship immediate judgment would wreak, you're damn right, because as soon as a bunch of cats find out they ain't got to be on child support, and how? It's through separation of powers, you're damn right it's going to wreak havoc on some shit. It's just, these guys are funny. So anyways, but they go on and they say, we stay our judgment, giving the legislator time to amend the laws in accordance with the decision. How can you amend the law in accordance with the decision? Again, that's full test number 2, right there. You gonna let these guys turn you into a fool? Forget what they say. Understand what the law is. No matter how much they try to dress these words and phrases up to make it seem like they're gonna, what they were doing was right, but they were just doing it the way they were going about it was unconstitutional. No. The whole thing is, stop playing around. These guys piss me off almost as much as the females we got to deal with that are putting us in this damn situation. So here's the other part I wanted to show you. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and start reading it. You'll understand what's going on as I read. State of Minnesota in Supreme Court. Order establishing transition rules. So this is coming. Oh, well, let me just keep reading. For child support matters. Whereas in 1995, the Minnesota legislature enacted Minnesota statutes requiring implementation in each county of an administrative child support process to resolve child support matters involving the public authority. So that, you guys know, that's the Title 4D agency, right? The public authority. They don't want to see, they're trying to make it sound like government by saying public authority, but it's the Title 4D agency. They just don't really want to put it out there like that. You gotta love it, right? Whereas in Holmberg versus Holmberg, this court held that the current structure of the administrative child support process violates the constitutional constraints on the separation of powers. Full test number 3, guys. This court held that the current structure of the administrative child support process. So what other structure could you possibly come up that's administrative that is going to allow this to be constitutional? I'd like to see that. It can't be, guys. It's as long as that administrative is there, it is what it is. I don't care what other words you surround it with. Administrative is a key. I don't give a damn if you're trying to act like it's a structure or not. Doesn't matter what the structure is. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm a little on edge or a little pissed off for some reason. Probably because I'm tired and all of a sudden I got this damn headache and I'm talking about this stupid bullshit. So sorry if I sound a little bit upset for some reason. But you know, hey, it's deserving. This stuff we're dealing with is absolutely unacceptable, and it deserves for us to be upset about it. Whereas it is anticipated that during 1999 session of Minnesota legislature will enact legislation revising the child support system so that the hearings to set, modify, and enforce child support are conducted by child support magistrates in an expedited process within the judicial branch. Full test number 4. What difference does it make if they're changing up the child support magistrates? You guys have already seen, pointed out what that is. I think I don't know if it's Minnesota Fraud 1 or 2, but go on ahead, check them out. That gets broken down. Or if you already know, then you understand what they're trying to do here, make you a fool again. Whereas, in the anticipation of the legislation, this court will promulgate rules of child support procedure, and whereas a smooth transition from the existing administrative child support process to the new expedited child support process is important to both the executive and judicial branches, as well as to the litigants involved in the process. Why do we care about what's important or not? That's like saying you send judicial and executive officers making sure they send their kid off to college is important. But it's not the law, so what difference does it make? And again, expedited child support process. You know what that is? Still administrative. Okay, to continue on. Whereas okay, I already read that. Okay. Now therefore it is hereby ordered that the following transition rules shall govern the child support process when child support rights are assigned pursuant to Minnesota, blah, 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 or when the public authority is providing services under an application for child support services. Title 4D matters. Through June 30th, 1999, Title 4D child support matters shall continue to be initiated and processed in the administrative process in conformity with these statutes here. All actions taken pursuant to Minnesota statutes and these other statutes prior to July 1999 shall remain in effect on and after July 1st, 1999. If an administrative proceeding is properly commenced prior to July 1st, no additional pleading shall be required to maintain the action thereafter. I don't know what full test we're up to now, but come on, guys. if an administrative proceeding is properly commenced, which could never happen. These man, dude, I'm telling you, man, these cats be making me want to put my hands up on these cowards, man. It's just sick what they're doing, man. Putting this shit out here like they're changing something and correcting something so that it is in harmony with the law. They're actually committing worse fraud now, because not only were they exposed for their fraud, now they're coming with new fraud to to cover up the old fraud and hope that you are a fool. Through June 30th, 1999, Title 4D child support matters shall continue to be heard by administrative law judges operating through the Office of Administrative Hearings. Well, wait a minute. If it's constitutional, I know they said that they put a stay on it. But, dude, if something's unconstitutional, there shouldn't be any continuing of anything. Murder's unconstitutional. We're gonna continue to let somebody murder. You know what I'm saying, guys? Come on now. We're not talking about something minor here. We're talking about something dealing with somebody's fundamental rights, and it's unconstitutional. It needs to be halted, period. If you can come up with a proper way to do it, fine. But until then, there ain't no continuing of nothing. It's bullshit. Any order issued by an administrative law judge in conformity with Minnesota statutes shall remain effective and fully enforceable by the district courts. I understand that, okay, you guys got to come in and make your claim now. That's basically what they're saying here. They're not going to, just take care of this for everybody. You got to come in yourself. But they're making it sound like, your order is lawful, so don't worry about it. Prior to July 1st, that thing keeps popping up. Sorry, guys. I don't know why it keeps doing that. Prior to July 1st, 1999, the chief judge of each judicial district shall appoint the list of existing administrative law judges and family court referees currently serving the judicial district as hearing officers hearing Title 4D child support matters to act as child support magistrates for the expedited process through September 30th and complete any matters pending them. All such appointments shall be submitted to the Supreme Court for confirmation. So, the chief judge, they're making it sound like since the chief judge is going to appoint these cats, he's going to make sure it's done according to the law. You guys get the point. They're putting out these rules and regulations, and I showed you what the rules ended up being in that other video. If you go watch it, the Minnesota fraud, either 1 or 2. It has the rules there, and I show you the bullshit in there. It's outlandish, guys. And here it is. They filed it into the court in 1999. So, they knew it was unconstitutional, and they're coming out with all this stuff to try to keep it going, though. Like, well, oops, we made a mistake. We're going to correct that. Don't worry, guys. And everything's just going to keep going on smooth. Just sad, truly sad, But anyways, I wanted to point that out. I hope my man I talked to on the phone earlier get a chance to watch this and maybe even just get a little more clarification. Also, I wanted to say specifically for you, and it's going to help everybody else too. Now, if you try to go into the court with Holmberg versus Holmberg, it happened to me. They're going to say, well, this is that's Minnesota. This is Texas or so. This is California. Okay, guys. Now, they're right, but they're wrong. They're right because, no, they don't have to honor every law that another state has. But, like Rick W. was showing you guys, full faith and credit. Type it up on Google. Full faith and credit clause of the Constitution. And what it's going to say, it's going to give you this, it's going to, what it basically is saying, is every state has to honor another state's judgment. Or, and amongst other things, other debts, prisoners that escape, they gotta honor all that. And that's specifically what they're going to be trying to say too. Well, that has to deal with debts and prisoners. It doesn't mean we have to follow court decisions. No, that's exactly what it means as well. Why? Well, look at it this way. Say two states next to each other. They got the same type of animal in each state, a certain animal. And this animal, maybe it's got some horns on it that are real cool. You can, or you can make some kind of commodity out of it. And one state is just absolutely going ham and killing these animals and making money off them. And so they put out a law because, it's not okay for humans because they agreed to extinct an animal. So it wouldn't be unconstitutional to make a law to say, y'all, or we got a limit or, whatever, however, so that they can make sure that this species doesn't expire. They make some type of law or regulation up for that, okay? Well, they might not have to, they don't have to honor that in other state because the other state, the people aren't over there killing it to such a large degree that animal that it's a problem. So you're not going to be able to bring a judgment in from the one state to the other saying that, it's okay. Well, it's okay over here to kill this animal. Well, we have a different situation in this state, and it's not a constitutional right that we're dealing with. That's the difference, guys. Even if it's not a constitutional right, any law that is supposedly supposed to be uniform throughout the states, which there's several things that are supposed to be uniform, then that applies all throughout all of them. I don't care if one state is enforcing it a little differently or not. If it's written into the law a certain way, that's how it's supposed to be observed. And especially with constitutional rights, Supreme Court decisions dealing with constitutional rights, those have to be honored in all courts because there is no separation of what one state, how many constitutional rights they're gonna observe as opposed to another state. A constitutional right is a constitutional right, and it applies all throughout the United States Union. That's why the original Constitution was put in place, so that all states come up under it and make sure that all the laws they create are in harmony with that Constitution. So just because one Constitution says, involuntary servitude is not okay, and the other one doesn't happen to mention it, doesn't mean that it's not the case in that state. And also, it doesn't mean that if you bring a case law or the Constitution of that state to the state you're residing where it doesn't say that you shouldn't be able to use that, because we're dealing with fundamental constitutional rights, and it applies all throughout the Union, all 50 states. I hope you guys are understanding what I'm saying. So you need to have a response if they say that bull, saying something of the same effect that I just brought out. That when you're dealing with constitutional rights, there is no one state does this, one state does the other. One state just happened to make it clear what the law is dealing with that constitutional right, and you gotta honor it. So keep that in mind, guys. These guys are out here playing games for sure, and they're not trying to let nobody go, and they're gonna say whatever, and if you're not able to rebut it immediately, that's what they're gonna use to deny what you're asking for. So that's pretty much it, guys. I think there was something else, but I'm not. My head is banging so hard right now I can barely even think clearly at the moment. So if the dude I was talking to earlier, if you get a chance to watch this before you go in, good luck. For all the rest of you out there, understand what's going on here. Understand what I'm showing you. This case is alive and well. You can use it. They're turning it down, but they're turning down everything. So I'm just trying to help you guys understand how this argument works, how you're supposed to use it, why it's it works, why it can't be overturned. Separation of powers, guys. And Minnesota's showing you right here that it's still separation of powers. They're not changing anything. They're just moving words around and titles around so it looks like they're fixing it. They're not doing anything. It's just more fraud, guys. So with that said, you've been treated like a fool. They were trying to make you a fool. So now that you understand what's going on, you need to go up in that courtroom and act a fool. Get them jokers to do what they're supposed to do and let you alone, let you be free, and let you take care of your family the way you want to. Ludacris, bring them out.
Fools, we gon' clock one, then we'll pop one. Cause my folk riding shotgun with a shotgun. You just got hustled for a wad of cash, man. What you gon' do? Act a fool. Now your friends just smoked up your brand new stash. Say what you gon' do? Act a fool. Now them girls up the block still running their mouth. Boy, what you gon' do? Act a fool. If anybody talk bad about the dirty South, tell me what I'm gon' do. Act a fool. I got my eyes wide shut and my trunk wide open. Did donuts last week in the street, still smoking.